This is Sky Power Radio and TV Services Studios, West Yorkshire, late Stencil Mount. Welcome all on board our weekly civic education program coming your way from studios in West Yorkshire, late Stencil Mount. Mustafa Jame is my name at the seat. Badingulung Alconto Mobe Dauda Anibe Watu to Kabunan Sky Power Radio and TV Services, na local civic education program of Ming Kasron Jang Kabunan Radio to Nalbari Malo Mustafa Jame members in program of Kuna Yintembe. Sky Power Radio and TV Services Studios, West Yorkshire, Tencel Mount, and Aksenarit Mustafa Jameneka Lenchi, Radio Business and Buntu Program, Civic Education Program. As we announced on the page, today we've got our special guest, which is Mr. Emmanuel Juve, with us on board here on Sky Power Radio Civic Education Program. Mr. Juve has been here before. We can't thank him enough for the time, energy, and effort, and then reachable as well. Mr. Juve, first of all, we'd like to say thank you, a warm welcome on board. You can say hello, hi to our viewers at the moment. Mr. Emmanuel Juve, welcome on board.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jame. Thank you, Jerejef Suleiman Jeng, and all your listeners. It is a pleasure. Jerelin Jeffwa, my invite. It's my pleasure to talk to you guys. It's always interesting and engaging. Jerejef, thank you.
Thank you. Much obliged. So, Nganayo?
Jerejef Emmanuel Diouf. Mangla nuyu di la santa di la josa wachuwaay. Te di la gërëm gis naa ne daal saa ñu la invité rek yaa de ñëkk a ñëw si plateforme bi panéliste yi seen boppa ñu ngi laa gërëm ci loolu ñu ngi laa tontu usually suñ invité ni dañ leen di chase di leen text di leen call waaye yow moom yaa ñu dee chase which is quite interesting so gannaaw loolu maa ngi nuyu suñu déglukat yi di leen ne jërë ngeen jëf yéen a ñu dee dooleel yéen a ñu dee encourage moo tax ñuy ñëw week bu nekk ñëw jàkkaarloog ak yéen di waxtaan ak yéen di wax Bamba Mass ak Assis Bojang ak Alhaji Seydi Baro ak suma mag ju baax ji Ismaila Congaan ñu ngi leen a xaar so Emmanuel woon nañu daal next time ñun ñooy war a njëkk a teewe so invité gan bi warul laa yow di la xama di la bismillah wara bismillah gan bi jërë ngeen jëf.
I'm not solo lol, Jerejef, so thank you. Special thanks and appreciation goes on day as well. It's a bit tight. Usually it's easy, and Dejabate and all the panelists. Bamba still yet to be here. Ibrahim Chongan, Alaji Baro, and Aziz Bojang, we're expecting them all to join us here on this fruitful, I call it discussion, not an interview, discussion. On that note, Mr. Chongan, you are the chairman for the Gambia Human Rights Association. Is that correct?
Not Mr. Chongan, Mr. Juve.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Mr. Juve, sorry. You see, Chongan is always putting me at the tight corner, you know. So, Mr.
No, look like this. Your Chongan never how it gels fit me.
Balamba never gels fit me, huh? Mr. Juve, yes, Emmanuel Juve. Sorry about that. Mr. Juve, you are the chairman of the Human Rights Commission in the Gambia. Is that correct?
I am the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission of the Gambia.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. Our topic title, our thoughts today is to discuss some of these things happening in the Gambia, especially at the level of the presidential level, because we'll go straight on this and straight shoot with everything that's anything regarding this. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, makes some utterances about statements he makes. Some call it threatening, some call it bullying, some call it scary. In the Gambia, we've got human beings living. If you can say there is a leader, there must be followers there. And these leaders and followers, we are all human beings under the rights of that natural rights that we all have. We obliged to abide by them. So as a human being and as a leader, the president of the republic and as a head of state, the statements he made earlier on about the state of affairs, especially with Ousainou Darboe and other utterances that he may have made. Have you heard about this, Mr. Diouf?
Yes, I definitely. I've heard about the statements made by His Excellency, which of course was trending. But just to add, just 6 weeks, for the last 6 weeks, Mungi Tombe, NHRC had a series of training on hate speech. We actually conducted even a study, which we validated on hate speech and the dangers of hate speech. Lima warek moy Human Rights Commission be commission nañ ben study def research on moy dal kaddu mbañ nek di wax yo xamne baaxut ci dëkk bi wax yo xamne dina indi jaxase wax yo xamne dina indi fitna wax yo xamne dina indi nit ñi bañante. So so you see our institution, human rights institution, was set up pour our yelef ak doom aadama yi waaye itam pour also advise. We have an advisory role to the government. We have been tasked to bring back a culture of human rights and rule of law in this country, peaceful coexistence. And of course, there is a good reason for that. If you look at 22 years of Jammeh, what happened? The TRRC revelations. Gambia dañ dee teel a fàtte rek lan loolu mooma dee na xari report bi so read the report bi ak li xew ak lu tax mu xew ak naka la xewee den dinañ moytu yu bare yu dooraat di def. So National Human Rights Institution, of course, has a very, very legitimate interest on speeches that are misinformation, speeches that are hate speech, speeches that may not even be hate speech, but may bring disunity in our society, which will encourage communities to fester. So dama wali rek pour wax la ne, even before His Excellency made this particular statement, ñun as an institution yaga nañoo door di liggéey ci hate speech kaddu mbañ loo xam ne mun naa indi jaxase ci réew bi ba pare lu tax ñuy def loolu sax mooy United Nations UN Secretary General bi wax na ne soo xoolee the 75 years of the history of our recent history ne hate speech kaddu mbañ precede moo de njëkkaa door balaa woo am o genocide mu doore ko si juusi lan la leen German si daan wax ne moom lañ foog nga tuutiloo nit ki ne jarul dara di nga dem ci tutsi si ne ñii ay cockroach lañ ñii ay golo lañ nga dem ci Rohingya case nga dem Cambodia nga dem Bosnia recently the case that the Gambia is fighting, that is the Rohingya Muslims, and the way they are treated, but not only the way they are treated, because before they are even treated the way they are treated, the statements that are coming out reduce them to subhuman beings. So because of that, ba pare ñun liñ door di gis muy am suñu réew bi muy politician muy religious leaders muy niti diine ñi niti aada yi ak politician am na wax yu bare yi ñoo wax it's very bad because ñooñu dañ am ñu bare ñu leen dee déglu they have an audience nit ñi suñ leen dégloo dinañ li gaay di wax they may actually do exactly what those people are doing. So nag ñu mel ni politicians ñu mel ni religious leaders ñu mel ni niti aada ñi ñooñu dañ war a very careful kaddu yi ñoo wax kaddu yoo xam ne dafa indi xaajaatle dafa indi fitna si réew dañ ko war a moytu. Dama wax rek pour nga understand ne it's not just the statement. So bàyyi xel amoon na ñun dañ dee def press release yu bare time election si sax defoon nañ càng booba noonu Barrow amoon na yu wax ba ëppal ñu wax ba pare lawyer Ousainou Darboe wax na itam dina destroy Barrow. We came out strongly. As if you are leaders, utee naa benn naar buy wax wala war naa careful naar moom kenn du ko waxati damaa wax rek wala benn pol nekk fale di waxam waaye yow soo nekkee leader da nga am nit ñi dañoo déglu sa kaddu li nga wax nit ñi dañ ko dee déglu torop, so you have to be careful because you have followers. May leen ma xëcc fii maa ngi am noise, background noise.
That is fine. That's okay.
Yeah, I think waxam bi rafet na.
Sorry. Okay, ma bàyyi la nga maa ngi doon ñëw nag ci wax yi Barrow wax itam.
So back them.
Go ahead.
Wow. So ñun suñ liggéey nekk na si yoo xam ne dañ dee monitor hate speech ba bokk na si suñ mandate bokk na suñ loolu tax comme ni ma la wax def nañ a study te dinaa la may sax a copy of the study. What is hate speech? How do you identify hate speech? Why do we need to flag hate speech? What do we do to mitigate hate speech? Because yii dafa important ci society te suñ dëkk bu tuuti la waaye léegi hate speech door na di fi bare nit ñi dinañ wax muy mbiri religion kii bokkuma moom diine ñu nekk ci diine yi waraloo leen a ñaanal sax suñ dee bul dem seen functions all this nonsense, I'm sorry to use the language, door na di xew si dëkk bi te amut fi woon maanaam for my mixed family suma kër fii su gaa yi ñëwee julli si dama leen di wax ne ni fii la mekka nii la I contribute to mbokk yu dem Màkka damaa wax di rek pour wane the kind of society we've had, but it's changing. Politicians itam door nañ di use some language yoo xam ne we have to be mindful whether they are using tribal or wax yoo xam ne daal mu ngi denigrate others. We should dégala nag when politics happens gaaruwaale dina dee am. I remember as a young boy in Banjul sabar yi dinañ dem nit ñi dinañ gaaruwaale wiiw taal ku newul taal doo fekkee déwén for example dama just fàttale ku xam nga politique daf dee génne emotions yu bare. Why we have to be very careful, especially now with the advent of social media. Nga xam ne li nga wax mun nañ koo amplify. Gis nga genocide bi when it happens in Rwanda benn radio station rek lañ amoon radio Mikolin boobu la gars yi doon waxee about the Tutsis how they were cockroaches nit ñi dañ ñoo nekk di déglu. From there they went and bought pangas and cutlasses. Léegi moom all you need is an Android phone to spread hate speech. So coming back to the issue, so just to explain, major context, because this statement came out. Bim ñu koy ñëw ñu bare sax saaga nañ NHRC ne gisuñ suñ press statement lii ak lële parce que ñaareel dañ dee joxe press statement. Of course, deliberately, this was because when the Human Rights Commission speaks, suñu waxee, it's not only Emmanuel Diouf that speaks. It is the commission that sits with our legal team and we decide. And in these instances, we felt, especially after the UDP sent to us in their press release, they mentioned NHRC should engage the president. And that's exactly what we did. We engaged the presidency. Fekk mu ngi am ñu fa jógee rek 1 week sax de ci ca closed door ba yi ñu wax yu bare bokkoon na si yëpp. And we have a yearly closed door meeting with His Excellency where we only sit and talk about issues that we feel boobu journalist duñ fa day nekk su ko defee mu nekk à tête à tête moom itam mu wax lan la feel ñun tam ñu wax ko luñ d'accordul ak yooyu. This is good.
Before nga jàlla sorry doguma la xam nga wax nga ne UDP seen press release bi dañ leen pour ngeen engage president bi which was very good and you did waaye am na ñu bari tamit ñu ngi joytu ne opposition si suñu make similar statements or hate speeches da ngeen dee génn outside am nga publicly ngeen condemn leen waaye président bi mu defee lii yéen da ngeen ko engage xam nga indoors instead of génn ci biti publicly condemn ko pour woon ko ne lim def am nga du yoon even though li ngeen def is good why it would have been more effective then public bi would have been more appreciative ne xam nga you not biased because fi mu nekk nii niñ leen a gisee ne mooy commission bi dafa bias.
Si gaaw dinaa la tontu that is not true. You know why that is not true? Dama la waroon a yónnee sax maa ngi ko amee fii suma cell phone when Barrow went to where did he go to? Up the provinces, and he's mentioned that UDP are a security threat, among other things. He said many things. If, for example, he will give the Inspector General of Police the authority. If the courts release you, you should be arrested. We came heavily on Barrow to the extent immediately to the extent NPP supporters dañ ma defal Photoshop ne ma de tell my lawyer Dabo. You will laugh. I have all of these things. And not only that, the tirades of insults that came from them, from Alaji Girigara, but I have all that. So Lima Wahmoy, I'm on the time, and this is very funny this time, when we did not, and you know why? We refused to be a ping pong. We sat down, we will be we will be issuing press statements every week, because immediately Sunday. The next thing NPP would have told us, we have an advisory role, and we wrote back to the UDP. UDP, I'm not supporters your hamne. I'm on a press release. There's only a press release. Press release. So we cannot satisfy everybody. And that is not our job, actually. Our job is to listen to public opinion, but we need to be effective. So we saw that, but we engaged the press. And if I tell you the number of times we even engage the presidency, from the time of Bamwe's statement, the Mahdi, and we wrote explaining the dangers of those statements, and they responded. So we cannot satisfy everybody. We cannot be. We are not in the business of selling ice cream. Go ahead.
Okay, but Mr. Juve,
why we made
Mr. Juve,
yes. Well, sorry.
My concern here is this, if I may call it rhetoric. This thing has been going on for a while, and then you lot have been there on the ground. Do you think you make any difference? Do you make any impact? Because this is not the first time he's been doing or saying such kind of statements. The second time he did it, and then you attack him, you explain to him, nothing happens. Are you making any difference?
Yeah, okay. Is NHRC making difference? Are others making any difference? Just to tell you that what we even did before the statement came, we went to the IPC, Inter-Party Committee, where they all have representation. Remember, these 19 political presidential candidates signed the Janjambure Peace Accord. They did. They had an MOU, and one of the things that they're supposed to do is to make sure that that their parties, their executive, their party leaders do not issue statements, whether it's hatred, hate speech, or statements that will bring discord and disunity. So our job here is to make sure that the parties, Manila, of course, much is expected from the head of state as leader, but so whole very horrible statements are coming from all sides sometimes. So our job to be non-partisan, that was why we actually engaged the Inter-Party Committee to start with. And we even informed His Excellency that what we liked about the national dialogue was they can use the national dialogue to discuss. They can disagree. But what we do not want in a country is polarization and disunity. We are trying. I don't think we are a panacea to all of it, but our job is to make sure that we take them to task when politicians, when religious leaders, when people who have a sway in the public make certain statements, that we call them to order. We call them to order. Sometimes we write to them directly. Sometimes we send emissaries, even among ourselves, to go and say, no, you cannot do that as a head of state. And the good thing is that we document all these things. Yeah. So we do that. Yes. Does it always yield dividend? Maybe not, because you will expect Mom Laiwa. But should we stop? No, we should not stop, because when such statements are made and everybody says, no, this is not proper, they are also human beings. And that, why do you think that they backtrack? Or their what are they called? Their minders try to sugarcoat it, and because they feel that everybody is saying, hey, and these things, all of them need to be careful, because legi lower, there is BAR. It's documented. So you cannot run away from these kind of divisive statements that you make. And the NHRC, we take all of them on board, all of them. And we do. But we also don't want to be seen as a ping pong, as I said. We will have to see what is the best effective way of dealing with this. The politicians have talked. Yes,
so
we will condemn it, but we will also write directly to the appropriate authorities.
Lima buga ham ak suma audience perhaps ñoomit liñ buga ham mooy ne comme li nga wax ne sometimes da ngeen di engage guy you make press releases da ngeen di meet guy da ngeen di binda guy so admit nga ne admit nga ne it doesn't always yield dividends so dafa mel ni li ngeen di su ngeen di suxandekoo doo leen di am results bi ngeen buga so su fekkee ne amu leen loolu ban next step ngeen a jël
But next step.
Yes.
Well, okay. Hamga, when it comes to things like we do not prosecute. We as an institution, if I may just tell you that, although we can sit, we have quasi judicial powers. Dinaindemuna talk as a tribunal. Come linda for and order compensation and order certain things, and those things are enforceable. But when it comes to things like this statement, for example, it may be very unpleasant. It was distasteful, but was it criminal? Damala just explain the complexities of hate speech, and that's why we conducted a study on the whole thing. You know, because I can give you what the definition of hate speech is. That was a very unpleasant, nasty, uncultural, because such society don't end any
It may not be criminal as per se. Why everything that they ripple effects li angale de wa come like that they yo hamne that si de judu. Let's say for instance be president be wahe statement bobo. Okay, yala tere ko dabo munon na dem duga si moto mu am accident mude o dabo munon na tok mude. So obviously njabootam gi ak ñi ko toppa mun nañoo toog wax ne lii xam nga government bi foul play moo fa nekk henna government be def impact motom bi mu am accident o henna dañ ko poison so loolu mun naa jur loo xam ne yëngu-yëngu si biir dëkk bi so these are the consequences li ma foog ne lañ war a bring to the president di ko woon ne lii waruloo ko def so of course there was a lot of pressure.
You are very right. You are very right. Anga ni all of nyai de wa tombe mode in the IGAF. Linga wani is very right. If anything had happened, let me tell you today, the conspiracy theorists, whether true or not, would say that. But not only that, if you read 2 days ago, nyari pani passe, family dabo bina na inside the office of the IGP. How many yange gislolu? Pour what IGP bine? The statement that His Excellency made is a threat to the life of their father. How many gis nga lolu?
I've seen that. Yeah.
Addressing your point, one, if you're in a position of leadership, if you are in a position of leadership, you have to be very careful what you say. You are not ordinary. You are not ordinaries because so nit amé kadu nak koku dafa wara careful ni nga danelé sa wax so man li nga ni yeb agree na yow fogg na li ma jema explain li ma don jema explain moy rek moy ne ñun def nañ wax nañ lale waye comme li ma la ko waxe rek there are instances where they wrote back and categorically said ne it must have they didn't mean it that way ndax dega lañ wax o ñaka dega but the fact ne you take them to you call them to order so that we will do, that will what do
dama de disagree with it
dama explain rek ne ñun am okay waxal bu may jël
mané dama de disagree ci ñu xamné dañ de ne wa président bi minu ko xam nga nit suy wax body language and bilinde wax ne Islam they carry about 75% of the meaning of speech than the mere utterances of words. Okay, so c'était video bi ni president bi doon waxe ak tonam bi xam nga ak body language am bi da nga xam ne kii he meant every word bi mu wax And no amount of damage control or no amount of spinning did not change Lulu. He meant every word bimwa. So the best limwaro na deflect nit rengai don nga admin ne well waknali mistake na at the time and I was emotional why mange jegalu su fekkee ne suma kàddu bi am na affect na or affect na anybody else because lolu dem na be nekatut a Dabo issue only dafa nekk a Gambian issue, a Gambian public issue. So every genuine Gambian was concerned. So lolu affect to Dabo rek and xam nga ñëpp la affect. So man li ma doon lifin mooy ne su fekkee ne xen na of course doo leen ko mun a yóbbu a tribunal waaye am ngeen other association yoo xam ne yéen a ngi affiliate ak yooyu like Amnesty International or xam nga other stakeholders ngeen binda ñooñu ne leen look lii moo fi nekk ñun this is our position. So ñooñu tamit xen na suñu exerted pressure on him xam nga xen na dina génn mu apologize because even though soo seetee seen press release bi after xam nga ñu ngi wone ne waaw président bi lim wax xam nga jaaduwul waaye they didn't just come out but every reasonable person if you read between the lines da nga xam ne lii la wax xam nga wax lim wax xam nga correct waaye they fell short pour mu ñëw mu apologize nit la he's not an angel xam nga du yonent so doomi adama bu nekk dafa make mistake so and it makes you a bigger person. So admit a mistake and you apologize. There's nothing wrong with that. Why you go on and no, or will apologize? I'm reason to apologize minutely. So that would time again Lenen, his supporters would say the same. Minutely living it so Lulu Linga wala. Why he knew the tahbe reu dakde jahasote hamga. Lulu Muna in the disturbance.
You see, Lulu, you and Mangi just gained a development and conflict analysis. It was just launched. I was present at the launching. And one of the flags, red flags, you see, the thing is, man, I don't think the Gambians read, or the government even sometimes read well, because red flags, one of the things that they flag, the conflict drivers, Lee in the Chono Chireo in the next 24 months. One of the things that try and get a copy, there should be an electronic copy. One of the things that they actually flagged was this kind of hate speeches and or speeches that may not be hate because there is a thin line. You have freedom of expression and hate speech, but it can cause division and it can cause problem in a society. And Gambians should desist from it. Because notice that, Lolo, it comes out. And people are horrible. I don't know how often you scan the social media. Our worry is, that is why I love the Janjambure Peace Accord, which even it's on the leaders themselves to disown people who say these bad things. But if you now have leaders who are actually saying things, then there is a problem. And our job is to remind them, all of them, of the Janjambure Peace Accord they signed, the IEC, the Memorandum of Understanding that parties signed. We have all these provisions, and I believe, come Ninko here, their minds should not sugarcoat it. When your leaders make a mistake, it is important that you take them, they work back on it and explain and where apology is due. Where you cannot force people to. And unfortunately, these were the issues that happen.
Mr. Youth, I've got real concern here. The National Human Rights Office, your office, is there for human beings. And if you think you're not making dividends and you do not want to stop, where can you go next to make dividend or to make change or to make impact of your steps? Where can you go next? Where can you go next? Because this thing, we cannot just like it. Yes.
Mr. Jami, the mandate of the Human Rights Commission is very broad. This is one aspect.
This particular one, because this can lead to war. This can lead to something very serious, Mr. Job.
No, it cannot. No. Okay, I'm just trying to explain.
Yeah.
The mandate of the commission is extremely broad, and if you've been following the work of the commission, you will notice what we do, from investigation of complaints relating human rights violation, from monitoring detention facilities, from doing research. That was why I told you that even 6 months ago, with the help of UNESCO, because we knew the red flag that is coming in this country, and this started long ago. is the emergence of hate speech and speeches that can cause division in our society. I mentioned that. And that was why leader for Tombe, Mangla explained what we did was we even validated a study. We are good and it was so holy for about 2 weeks, you get training on civil society CSOs on the dangers of hate speech. So the point I'm making is that this is an incident. I'm not saying it's trivial, because when I said that when leaders make statements, those statements can be very loaded, especially if they can incite violence. But that doesn't mean that just because we don't have an immediate solution. And changing attitudes, changing mindsets is a process. But just because this, as I told you, we did the right thing. If you talk to UDP, they know exactly what we have done, and we're going to engage them again. And if you talk to the government, you will know also what we're doing.
My concern here is this is not the first time. It's not the second time. It's not the third time. And then you've been talking. You've been exchanging emails. You've been talking to them, having dialogue with them. I think it's about time. Do you not think it's about time for you to take this to the next level? And what is that, if any?
The next level, you see, that is why I am telling you that what do we have right now in the Gambia? We have structures relating to inside. Okay, if when people make statements, let me be legal. You have the law. You have defamation of character. I'm just explaining to you. You have sedition. These are things that individuals can actually take up. That is one. But you can also have statements that are directly not maybe defamation or incitement, but they can lead to incitement. And that's why it's very complex. Lola explained. When you have statements that are very nasty and unpleasant, you live in the UK, you live in America, you can hear very terrible things being said by Trump and others. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. Where particular a statement is not criminal, but it can lead to, what do? You make sure that those structures that are in there, that was why we came heavily on the IPC, Inter-Party Committee. They came up with a whole MOU that is signed by all of them. And what they signed is more like a gentleman's agreement, but they're putting these leaders together to tell them that, listen, to bring peace in this country, this is how we need, this is the framework, this is how we need to work together. So I am agreeing with you completely. But the point I'm making, and I want you to really understand that because if they are still misbehaving, that doesn't mean that we are not doing our best.
No, I'm not saying, Mr. Juve, I'm not saying you're not doing your job. I'm not saying, but I'm saying if nothing happens, have you got any other powers, or where can you go next level? Because we can't continue like this. We cannot just stop there. So
the levels I am telling you, that was why, apart from some people love press releases, then they abuse us for being the institution for press releases. And when we don't even issue, they still want us to issue one. So apart from direct engagements, that's why I told you we even commissioned a study. And from that study, we have now started rolling out training, to raise the awareness, the dangers, flagging the dangers of hate speech and how to mitigate hate speech. I'm just telling you that it's a process. It is a process that we have.
Yeah, but the process has been going on. This has been going on for a while.
No. Like the study just came. Whether politicians have been saying nasty things, yes, they have been. But you see, the thing is, we are not a panacea. That's what I was just trying. Oh, Suleiman has disappeared. This is why I was just trying to explain to you that these are the many things that we do. And because they are failing or they are not adhering to this framework, that doesn't mean that. That is the point I'm trying to make.
Okay, let me ask you one more thing. Do you have somewhere else that you can go to or report this, like a next step or next level after yours that you can expose, and so where you can go to make impact, to make dividend?
Like for this kind of statement?
Yeah. Like, because it's a head of state. It's a head of state, bearing in mind,
Mr. Jame, I know that. No, I know that. Yes, I know that. And that's exactly what I was explaining to you, that you do not expect certain statement from coming. They may be very unpleasant, But that was why I was trying to tell you that.
So have you got any relations with any other international bodies that could make impact?
Of course we do. Our institution is a hybrid institution. What do you think they can do, Mr. Jame? What do you think they can do?
Well, I'm just assuming.
Of course, we communicate. And listen, Mr. Jame, Gambia is being reviewed again under the Universal Periodic Review. As an institution, we file shadow reports. We are very much in touch with all the treaty bodies. And yes, I just want to allay your fears. But what I'm just telling you is that what they will also do is to engage the state. This is what I'm saying.
Has this ever happened?
I'm trying to make.
Okay,
there is a process.
Yeah, has it ever happened for them to engage the state and make impact?
Oh yeah, yes. It's always, the Gambia is going to be reviewed in February. We have just filed in our shadow report last month, and the Gambia is going before the UN Council. It happens all the time. It happens.
Okay, thank you, Alaji. Welcome on board, Alaji Inimbara. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your time. Our topic title, the utterances about the hate speech, rhetoric. Some call it Professor Alaji. Welcome on board. It's been a while. Famoketa. Alaji Baro. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Jame. I appreciate it. Mr. Juve, Emmanuel, hope you're doing well.
Your guys have been firing shots at me since since I started. Yes. It's a pleasure to see you.
My good Koto Sol, Suleiman Jeng, greetings to you too, and all the listeners. I say Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Yes, it's been a while, Mustafa. I guess Doko Kenya and Taradula Kenya, unfortunately. So Buka make no most of the time, but I'm happy to be here today. And sorry for coming in late. We lost someone that used to work with us at the TRRC. He was part of the research and investigations team, Cherno. He was an elder statesman among the team. So he passed away today. So yeah. But outside of that, greetings to everyone, and I'm happy to be here. And sorry for being late.
No problem. Thank you, Alaji. Your thoughts about the current.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, it's nice to see you back.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I like to think you are following some of these statements made by His Excellency President Adama Barrow regarding the speeches he made. Some of it, like Mr. Youth himself said, is affecting peaceful coexistence in the Gambia, or the speeches made about His Excellency the President. Some of them. Have you had any of these statements, and what are your thoughts about these statements? President wala nying kumakawal miya lonko ake fotente malong foye moela ba your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think unless you're hiding under a rock, all of us heard these statements. And the very unfortunate statements, very unbecoming statements that he made. I mean, I know our politics is toxic, but we shouldn't expect the president to be leading the toxicity of that politics. He should be the one to set the example for all of us to follow, not be the person leading toxic politics. They were very unfortunate statements. And what is even more unfortunate is to see representatives like Dr. Ismail Asise Kanaikafo is being taken out of context. It says a lot when you are not impacted by something to tell people how they should react to it. You're more dimindi than it can have without even bothering to apologize. You just dig in it. It's like it's those people's fault that they took it the wrong way. It's not your fault for saying it. It's the victim's fault for taking it, or for feeling hurt. It's very unfortunate. Something that definitely anina ado manta, because nika fumoe mfama. Like Saul here, I regard him as a Kotroke. I have had disagreements with Kotro Saul, but you would never, ever hear me joke with him in a way that is inappropriate, because, somebody that you call a father, it meant for a farmer, like, you don't just joke, the moment you call somebody a father figure, that comes with responsibilities. It comes with treating them as a father figure. You know, you shouldn't deviate from that, and politics should never make you deviate from that. You know, so yeah, and in the Ado Manta and Monkey Dina Moti, but I don't think that's also according to the dictates of the religions we profess to abide by. So yeah, very, very unfortunate. I don't think those were appropriate statements. So because of you know, the death of somebody, you know, I think they were very painful statements and very regrettable statements.
Alaji, this is not the first time. I'd like to think this is not the first, it's not the second, and maybe not even the third. And this has been I can't call it me all I'm saying, but I love to kill a trend or cultural design. What are your thoughts, Wofanala? Because it's a bit, don't you think it's scary?
Yeah, you know, the unfortunate part is I call them Bantaba statements. You know, these are things that you say when you're sitting at Bantaba and you have nothing to do. You know, you have no job, you have no responsibilities, nothing. I'll be sitting Bantaba, I'll be kachak and dorong, and you know, you're just saying whatever. You know, but you know, Barrow failed himself. Let me say that one. He failed himself in uttering those statements. But importantly, the people around him also are failing him. Because what's going, the issue with this kind of stuff is you have, I mean, Barrow has an army of individuals who should be guiding what he says to Gambian people. You know, from Ibrahim Sankare to Ismaila Cisse to all these other people, to what's her name, the lady at the press secretary at the office of the president. All these people have a duty to make sure that whenever Barrow faces Gambian people, he speaks on substantive issues. Like he speaks to things that are affecting Gambians. He speaks to things that are important, whether it's a political platform or what have you. Barrow is not a politician at this particular moment. He is, you know, he's more of a leader, which is far more important a role than the role of a politician. So he should behave like one. And so it's up to the people that surround him, his public affairs people, the communications team, to ensure before he goes into public, they develop some kind of talking points. These are the things that are being talked about. Let's discuss A, B, and C. This should be your talking points. These are the things that you need to highlight. You know, this is the speech that should be delivered. He should be guided in what he says. But then, you know, to just wait for him to go out in public, say whatever he wants to say, and then you want to come and blame the people, telling them it's your fault for not getting the joke. It's your fault for not understanding what he was saying. It's disingenuous. It's not right. So that's why I say Baroba from fail because like I said, one, he ought to know better. The person you call a father, you shouldn't belittle that person, regardless of what the situation is. But number two, the people around him are also failing him. And instead of facing him and telling him, sir, you know, these statements are despicable, you shouldn't say this kind of stuff because it can cause problems within the country. Instead of saying that, they are digging in and telling him, you know, you don't have to apologize. You have nothing to apologize for. People like Dr. Ismaila Cisse, they should know better. It's either they are inept, they are incompetent, one, or they are just very dishonest individuals. And either of those are terrible scenarios for President Barrow.
Don't you think human rights got some rights, some sort of human rights? Do you not think, Alaji?
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw, you know, the thing is, and let me just clarify this. Emmanuel is somebody that I look up to a lot. I was not too long ago, I was in a foreign country that he did some work in. And I was so proud of what he did there that I was bragging and telling them he's my brother, you know, just because of the wonderful nature of the work that he did there and the amount of respect that the people in this place have for him. But even before that, I also know of Emmanuel's journey through the dictatorship during the days of the Yahya Jammeh. During the days of Yahya Jammeh, he is one of those that maybe not have been seen as people like me who took guns and came to the country. But he was behind the scenes doing a lot more than most of us probably will ever realize. So I also understand the nature of their job and how difficult it is in the Gambia, because, you know, you have to realize that some of these things like the National Human Rights Commission, the TRRC, the CRC, these were not President Barrow's ideas. If President Barrow had his way today, there would not be no NHRC. It wouldn't be there. there wouldn't be no TRRC, there wouldn't be no CRC. If he had his, because these were not his ideas. These were grand ideas that came from Batambedu and the Emmanuels and other people in that field. These were not Barrow's ideas. And so today, it's a very delicate balance because, you know, the NHRC is linked to the government in like, you know, even though it's an independent body, but it's also linked to the government in a way that if the government does not support it in any way, shape, or form, or if they want to shut them down, they will find ways to shut them down. So it's a very delicate balance because one is either, okay, if you go too hard on the government in a particular way, they will stop cooperating with you. You understand? And on the other hand, you cannot also be too quiet because that's your job. You have a mandate to promote and protect human rights. That's you know, I think that's your mandate, Emmanuel, if I'm correct. So you have that mandate, but it's a very, very delicate dance that you have to, because you are working with people who probably don't even care too much about human rights as such. But because, you know, if they don't play the game, the people that we take loans from and borrow money from, or the people that we go to beg, would not be happy with the government. And so those people may hold on to their purses and say, we will not give you money because your human rights situation is bad. So they have to pretend to commit to human rights. Do they really believe in human rights as such? Probably not. And I really, really doubt that they do. I mean, you look at the people that surround Adam Barrow, it's the same gang that surrounded Yahya Jammeh. If they cared about human rights, they would not have been around Yahya Jammeh, but they were. So it's not like, you know, they didn't care yesterday and today they care. No, they really do not care about people's. You see what happens. I mean, you know, in the Gambia, they tell you, yeah, you know, power belongs to the people. Yes, on paper, power belongs to the people. In reality, there is one man in the Gambia that power belongs to, and it's Adam Barrow. Let's not fool each other. So when you're dealing with that type of situation where power is so centralized in the hands of a few people who only believe in human rights up to the extent that it does not affect them. The moment it affects them, they have a problem. That's why you see what they did to people like Bora Sisao. You see what Ibrahim Diba of the UDP is going through currently. This is abuse of the law. This is just abusing the people legally. You know, so they don't necessarily believe in human rights as such, but they have to dance to the dance because that's what the outsiders that give them money, the ones that basically we depend on, those are the things that they look at. So you have to pretend that you care, but they honestly don't care. And so when you have a human rights commission trying to, you know, make these people to see human rights as, you know, this is about you and I and every citizen of this nation. If you want to fight them a particular way, you will not only lose the fight, you will lose your commission completely because they will find ways to shut it down in some way, shape, or form. Don't forget that it's enshrined in some law and what have you. The law is what they make it. At the end of the day, the law is what they make it. What they do not make it, the reality is the law does not matter to them. So, not saying I'm trying to defend the NHRC at all. I'm just putting some context around this because I know how difficult. I worked at the TRRC. I know how some things are enshrined in the Gambian mindset and how we work and how we operate. The just basic things. For instance, I don't know, not to promote my book, but I mentioned, you know, when they arrest men, for instance, they take off your clothes. It's sex, you know, they take off all your clothes and put you in a jail cell or what have you. Or you know, the way we go about arresting people. These are all things that are so enshrined, so ingrained in our psyche, we don't even see any violation in how we operate and do the most basic of things. And now you get somebody coming in trying to tell you you should not arrest somebody and then detain them, let them go, then go back and rearrest them. When that's our standing operating procedure. That's how we've been doing it for years. Now you get somebody trying to tell you don't do that because it's bad for you. Or you arrest a political opponent, and these guys come and tell you you shouldn't arrest a political opponent. What happens is they would lump you with the opposition and start saying that this NHRC is in fact an opposition organ. We need to shut them down. And they will find ways to shut you down.
Mr. Youth, how useful is your office in that context? Can you help me out, please, Mr. Youth? Help me, Dimbalema. Because it's like...
Okay, be more precise. How useful? Are you saying we are useless? Okay, no, okay. Elaborate properly so that I can hear what you're saying.
Mr. Jamme,
so you were saying,
if you listen to Alaji Saidi Bro.
Let me not frame it for you. You frame it for yourself.
Yeah, go on, Sol. Go on, Sol.
What is your question?
Yeah, I think that is a little bit too harsh on the commission to say if they're useful, because they're useful in various ways. And I'm gonna make it most of the time, su fekkee ne yaa ngi xool dara ci either nit or si institution or si something gisuloo ko li ci gën a bari da nga feel ne hen na lii amalu la njëriñ. Why henna so ko seetle si benen fan or somebody else in a different situation di nga gis ne am na njëriñ comme li Alhaji Barrow highlight so ko dégloo bu baax di nga understand ne commission bi has a lot of use and is a deterrent in another way si government bi. Why we don't always see things like tangible results ne li is what they have achieved. Why from his works you can see awareness bi gaay di raise, publicity bi gaay di reports yi gaay di binda, xam nga dañoo engage government bi yooyu yëpp daf dee am kind of an impact. Because man no, let me just finish. Gis nga Barrow so seetloo the first press release bi gaay génne comme li Alhaji Barrow lu wax gaay dañ doon blame the public for not understanding his joke, or they were blaming the public for taking things out of context. Waaye bi presse bi mounté xam naa ñoom ñu engage ko gis nañ ne lii nit ñi di wax moo fa nekk. And the next press release bi Dr. Cissé génne soo ko seetloo ak first one si dañ ute dañ mel ni guddee bëccëg. So ko lii like li ma waxoon initially dafa mel ni presse bi mu ngi fa dem nañ admin ne li ñuy wax dafa ñaaw, waaye Barrow dafa fail to come and apologize. Pour toog ne commission bi génn ne Barrow soo defutee lii dinañ la yóbbu court or dinañ la yóbbu feneen, commission bi loolu is not within its mandate. Like so we need to understand that as well.
Yeah, understand that thing why Lena la Sol man suma concern bi mooy xam nga su make a statement ngeen woon ko mbite ngeen aida ko ngeen engage ko, it doesn't make any difference. Mu defaat beneen statement no different. So man dama foog ne day somewhere boo xam ne di ngeen mun a expose government to say well they are not abiding by the national human rights, so xaalis bi duñ ko mun a am or support bi duñ ko mun a am or sanction or yu demee noonu su ko defee in future lu mel noonu xam nga those kind of consequences need to be in place. Sol fogolo
institution bi ak dafa de ak mandate am bi xam nga document bi mun nañoo xeeb little press release yi di waaye yooyu international community daf ko value ne ñoom ñooy national office in the country. So any press release being reg they am a lot of weight, especially if they or simple engage because then your document lolo. So stakeholders am na a lot of things you have that they happen behind the camera. Ñun duñ ko day gis ñoom suñu génn wax ko duñ ko am waaye public press on social media ak different stakeholders enforce guy pour make the other press is the last one the guy make.
So yaa ngi am incoming call, I think sa line bi baaxut de mu ngi pixelate, mu ngi dog. Your line is not good. Maybe try rejoining also. Yeah, it's not good. Okay, Mr. Youth, coming to you.
Well, okay. No.
Yeah, go on. Your thoughts.
Well, no. I think Alhaji is a straight shooter. He said it. I would agree with 90 something% of what he said, because this is the nature of which an institution like us operate. It is a state institution, but also it is independent, and it's very important also the kind of people that they have there as commissioners, because we drive the process. We make sure that the promotional and protection mandate that is given to us and our advisory role, that we hold firm to it, and we have. So we say the NHRC, for example, within 3 years of its existence, was given an A status. I'm not saying that we don't have challenges. And of course, we cannot be an Alaji Barrow. He can say it, he can shoot directly. We can shoot indirectly. It's normal because of the way. No. I'm just being honest. How can
you not be Alaji Barrow? You got the human. This is human rights.
Come on. We all know Alaji Barrow doesn't suffer fools gladly, and he's a straight shooter. So anyway, while Lima explained like Moy, it is a very it's a delicate fine line. But what is important that if you have commissioners who are credible, and I can tell you that I do have some commissioners who are extremely credible and fearless. That notwithstanding, the way we operate will be slightly different. So we have an advisory role. We will engage the government and we will tell them exactly as it is. But also, just to allay some of your fears, as an institution, which is also graded by the Global Alliance of National Human Rights Institutions, we are a hybrid institution of sorts. We, whether it's FGM, for example, you've been following the debate. We tell the state on no certain terms, and we file in our reports to the different committees. Exactly, that's the way we put it, and we tell them what the consequences are. And Alaji has struck a very important point. There is something that we were doing where the TRRC recommended us to do. One, the state was dragging its feet, but that particular indicator came in with a lot of money if it was not satisfied. So my job was to tell them, well, okay, if this is not satisfied, you will not get this amount of money. Just to tell you what Alaji is also saying in a way. It comes with. So the point I'm making is we do have some leverage. Okay,
Mr. Ju, why are you dragging it? Okay, no. Why are you dragging it then? Why can't you use that power? Why can you not use it?
No, we are using it. We use our leverage where we can. No. Your mom the feel them. And never say affairs. Yo, the point these statements. Yo, people and Harry, definitely see that. Or listen to
the statement, Mr. Ju.
Explain. Statements,
wow, what is it?
That time, Mange Fatelo was the first interior minister.
Anybody call him the young def statement bohamne, the fight in the show, the fight in the gere, or the fight is going to bring something low hamne, Domi Adam in New Sona, Fuaro Leba Batala. We need to talk about, we need to discuss that. Come on.
And we should, all of us. The NHRC should be at the forefront. Society should be at the forefront. The inter-party committee should be at the forefront. We are all in it together. We will, and we are doing that. That's what I'm saying.
No, Mustafa. No, so I was saying, with these things also, when these things happen, like I said, you were supposed to be almost like an independent arbiter, meaning you cannot be perceived to be taking sides of anyone. And so when things happen, it has to be your reaction has to follow decorum. It has to follow a process. It has to follow certain steps. Because if you, Mustafa, do something today, me as somebody that considers you a brother, and I go on Facebook and write about you, regardless of what you may have done, you would be offended by my writing because you would see it as, Alaji, you could have come to me directly and told me what I'm doing is wrong, because that's what you would expect from me. And in this situation, yes, in this situation, if I go out in public and just come after you, I'm going to put you on the defensive immediately. And it has a possibility to strain my relationship with you, because as somebody that you see as a brother, somebody that you think is fair-minded, somebody that you think cares about you, you would think that if you do something wrong or you are engaged in an activity that is wrong, I would not go in public and defend you, Mustafa. You will never see me defend any of my friends when they are accused of doing something wrong. What I usually do is I will reach out to them personally and say, Koto Sol, you've done A, B, C, and D. It's very, very disappointing. It's not right. You need to self-correct. You need to do A, B, C, and D. Now, if Saul digs in and says, forget you, I'm going to do whatever I want to do, you will not see me in public coming after Koto Saul and just, degrading him or excoriating him or what have you. I will not do that. But if he refuses to apologize or own up to his mistakes or what have you, if the conversation ever comes up, I would be the first person you will see in public going after him hammer and tongs.
Thank you.
With no reservation.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. But this thing,
Mr. Jame, just to also explain, just further, the way we do our things. I remember there is a particular person who's in government. I think he has switched side. I think he hated the NHRC with a passion when he was on the other side. He even called us the Gay Commission. And I remember some of my staff, he will meet them and tell them, are you still working for that useless institution? But you know what? When he was in hot soup, it was that Gay Commission that actually went and rescued him. He made sure that he was not arrested above the 72 hours, but even given a mattress, allowed to talk to a lawyer, because they had decided to keep him and move him incommunicado. It happened to him twice. And when I see him today, he has a lot of respect for my institution. But once upon a time, I'm just saying, okay, why am I saying this? There is a lot of things that we do. Yes, we do have our challenges, but there is a lot of things that we do. I also believe that we are a deterrent in many, many ways. In fact, just to tell you indirectly a story, that information came that they are very nervous that if the NHRC is seized of a particular information, if it goes out, the international community will really listen, and it might be problematic. I'm just trying to explain to you that yes, we are not a panacea to all the issues, all the problems that the Gambia has, but we do have some deterrent effect. But also remember, we also have an advisory role to the government. We are a state institution that is independent, and as Alaji nicely put it, the state has many ways in which
so they have the power to shut it down. Then, yeah.
No, the state has the power not to follow the constitution. Didn't Jame not follow if you have a rogue state, they can do anything. It's as simple as that. I just want you to know that even the constitution that we had in this country was doctored 52 times. What did we? I'm just saying that that's why we talk about rule of law. That's why.
Are you facing any challenges with your relationship with the government of the day? Are you facing any challenges regarding that?
Regarding what? Being shut down?
Regarding being shut down or threatening to shut down or to that sort of thing.
No, I have not had any direct interference with the work that I'm doing. But being small, you may hear things. Of course, you know that what happens in people's bedroom comes to you. This is the nature of Gambia. This is the way we are. I have not had direct interference, but also, to be honest with you, I think they also understand. The chairperson, I have a history of doing what I think is the right things to do. So just to tell you, that's why I told you that we have committed commissioners who believe in what they do, and they do the work, regardless of fear or favor. But that notwithstanding,
I think sometimes we also make mistakes in the in our media houses, because most often we expect to it's like we are results oriented. When we see some things,
come on, Saul, Birmingham, man, don't be like that, Saul. You in Birmingham, Saul. Well, Alaji, you don't concern me, Saul. Somebody's calling you. Why is that network be like dafa melni, Bamba State?
Weather it's like this British weather is uncontrollable. It can be anyhow it wants.
Okay,
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Mane British weather be like I'm going to mel. So and so my network be 3G. I think I have to change my service provider. Like it's just crap. So lima don wax ne xam nga mistake biñ dé def mostly ñun dañ dé gom too much of this results oriented. Anything li xew rek dañ dé bëgg gis immediate results ne waaw li mo ci génna, and there are things yoo xam ne is like xam nga doo mun a gis immediate result bi waaye di nga notice some changes yoo xam ne has happened as a result of the public pressure. ñaareel bi tamit ñun I think most of us are disingenuous. as citizens of the Gambia, because then they expect others to fight our battles for us instead of us fighting our own battles. Before program, I was talking to someone. Munema is like Gambia, then they were why so let me time do they get involved? Before limbo dafa make a lot of sense. Ne Gambian be lim di ñaareel bi fi mu dugga rek dafa expect dafa gain something out of it. Why anything loo xam ne du mun a gain anything du si dee dugga. For instance, like Senegal, da nga gis ne ñooñu when they want to change, they committed themselves. Xam nga am na ñoo xam ne dee nañ ci why they've got the results. Why ñun in the Gambia ban commitment lañ dee am. Like President bi ni mu waxee that speech. Nit ñi dañ ñeena dañ toog ne waaw UDP tamit dañ di wax xam nga some nasty things against Barrow or xam nga blame game bank fa waaye look stepping outside the box pour gis ne suñu président bi as a leader, as the the number one servant citizen of the country, speech yim they make ñu they gën a am value than the opposition leaders. Yéena ma dégg na?
Yes.
So da nga gis ne duñ dee commit seen boppa. Simple things as nga dem talk State House nga am sa placard ne duñ fi jógee ba président bi apologize. Doo leen make noise, doo leen def dara. Why nobody would do it? Because dañ feel ne suñ fa demee duñ fa am $100 yi, duñ fa am 1,000, duñ fa am 20,000. They don't. Duñ dee make those sacrifices. So change du mun a ñëw unless nit ñi commit seen boppa. So most of the time lip service rek lañ dee def. Talk si social media bi wax about li ñu doon wax about lifin bi waxi speech bi jógee foofu ñu dugg si land issue bi léegi jógee nañ foofu ñu ngi wax constitution bi. Nobody talks about these things again. So dañ dee pass from one to another. Moo tax nguur gi duñu value because soo buggee nit ki respect la sa nguur mu respect la dang leen a woon ne maa la fa teg te li ma bugga soo ko defutee du ma la may jàmm.
Comme ni nga ko waxee that side of it. How do we resolve this? Yo, what are you telling us?
Mooy commitment bi ak dedication. Nga jël réew mi instead of nga xool Barrow o nga xool Dabo o nga xool UDP o nga xool NPP. Because comme ni ko Alhaji Barrow wax léegi President Barrow is not a politician. Elect nañ election jeex na. Léegi liggéey lañ soxla. As a leader expect nañ nga war a am some talking points comme ni ko waxee. Soo génnee ñu xam ne yaa ngi war a waxi njëgi maalo xam nga lopitaan yi there are so many things yoo xam ne président bi war na koo wax and it's not talking about it. Seetal yoon yu si gars yi wax su tawee doo gis yoon bi flotte yaa ngi fu nekk. These are things yoo xam ne doomi réew mi war nañoo jóg taxaw wax si.
If I understand well, so would you say you're insinuating or encouraging for us to get up and demonstrate? Is that correct?
Demonstration, of course, citizens want to again and you demonstrate, expressing feelings. Because we want to talk on the social media, and they are expecting changes would happen. Demonstration, you can see as a taboo, as a crime, as something law is against the law. It's not. It's a means of expressing the public expressing their opinion and requesting demand from their leaders. If you how many years you talk House of Parliament in front of House of Parliament every day and they ask him just for one thing, unless you am lolo Jeremy Corbyn fan la nekon fofu la togon anytime so demé yanko feka mu ngi tok fofu mu ngi express bopam bem neka an MP be dem head party MP but in the Gambia fan nga gisé lolu you don't. Nit ñi dañoo wax tuuti rek xam nga everybody come di defend la te mostly soo seetlee ñi dee defend because ñoom seen loxo mu ngi si diw gi moo tax ñuy defend lii happen ñoo xam ne dañoo ne kii bokk ci gétta gi moo tax mu ngi wax so mentality boobu moo tax ñun in the Gambia duñ mun a achieve anything meaningful.
All right,
because dañ dee.
Thanks, it makes sense. Aziz, welcome on board. Your thoughts quickly.
Thank you so much. I am late, so I don't know where to start from, but I just speaking from what Saul said. I think let me say it in local language so people can understand. Suleiman, linga wax man loolu laa ànd waaye exemple bi nga joxe Sénégal loolu laa bugg a indi back to us pour ñu jéema seet lan lañ war a mën a def gis nga Sénégal bi Pastef nekkee di am that problème ak Macky Sall suñ bàyyi woon ñaari parti si rek Macky will still be here ñan ñoo step in civil society academy ñi ñoo step in and they took side not because they want to be in the opposition waaye dañ feel ne Macky mu ngi overstep his bounds ñu jóg jàppale Pastef in the Gambia amuñu loolu amuñu a vibrant civil society te soo buggee bàyyi Barrow ak UDP dañ koy frame comme niñ koy frame ñi politics lañ ñi dañu mer ñi trouble makers lañ
ñi opposition lañ okay so
exactly
before you continue
waaw xam nañ sax ne ñi opposition lañ waaye li ñoo wax mooy dañu mer yéenewuñu réew mi lu baax where civil society came out sax di wax lan lañ dee wax bàyyi leen fitna Barrow bàyyil comme liñ kii wax UDP bàyyi
okay right
so pour man loolu is a problem and I am sorry how man address ngeen ko waaye Mr. Diouf dama la buga challenge directly ci loolu parce que gis nañ su dara xewee da ngeen dee génna di denounce yooyu waaye the level of denunciation bi or the standard of denunciation bi pour man personally dama dee feel ne double standard la where Barrow def leena xam nga da ngeen ko dee raayal wala sa ngeen binda ko ci suuf ne ko wala ngeen dee ko ci suuf ne ko kilifa du def lii but opposition bi buñ defee da ngeen dee génn am a public statement ne li opposition bi def du yoon I can give an example of Biyam Seka yéen a ngi remember Biyam Seka doon wax ne Bading Fasar yéen a ngi ko remember fii suma juum the Human Rights Commission génn nañ di denounce that tribal sentiment which is very good I appreciate it why at the same level la bëggoon ñu hold Barrow accountable and not writing to him so pour man loolu mooy suma frustration.
Thank you, Aziz. Your reaction, Mr. Diouf?
I again think that it's a bit unfair because sumala genele tay so dem suñ website bi I think all the press releases are there. I hope they're there. You will see that most of the press releases are directed at Barrow, actually. Are directed at Barrow and not maybe the opposition. So I don't think that is fair unless you're not reading our press releases. You see, the thing is, Momla don't explain Sangha. Being started before Nyom Alaji Baronyo. We use press releases, especially when we think that it should be. It's needed, greater coverage, greater outreach, Sisasi. But we, as I said, sometimes, because we also have an advisory role, whether you guys know it or not, we will have to engage them. We will engage them. We will engage the Ministry of Justice. The number of times we engage the office of the IGP through WhatsApp, through letters. So we do that every time. So it's not only when we do that, we come to the press to show you, hey, in this case, Lilendem. Understand that? So I do not agree with what you say because so whole in press releases, most of it is against Barrow. So when we put it against Barrow, I'm the Lumala just yone. I'm on a time UDP. I'm getting Lumala just yone. Yange website. Wow. So dinala yone more because hanga the issue is this. Gisnga li munge joge si NPP. Ñune man ma de hold Dabo Mike. Gisnga lolu dañ def sa Photoshop and they've said many other things. Suma la yone audio yow tay di nga tiit. So I cannot just sit here. Or the commission cannot just, we will listen to public opinion, but we cannot always be swayed by Mr. Jaminete walking enough. Enough. It's only one paragraph. It should be 10 paragraphs. So in the lolu, so do them because fan ko immediately like kena joge fale saga itam baronde. So ko defé gaay na ma bañ saga baronde losi wax su ñàkkee dañ ñoo ñàkkal fulal commission bi du am fayda commission bi du am fayda du am fulal même rek ma jeexal ne waxuma itam ne you guys should not criticize. It's also your right pour ne we feel ne they should have maybe issued a press statement. In that same vein, there are some who will say ñi press statement rek lañ xam dara du si génn others will say well it took them 2 days dégguñ si ñoom. So li ma la wax mooy the crowd is always there. We have to be focused as an institution to try and get result and engage to get results. So lolo moom foog mu am nag waaye ñaareel nag some of the things you guys say baalal ma rek ma jeexal it's unfair because either you do not read that particular press releases read logo or ñun ñëpp am nañ different sentiments and people will sway this side, they will sway that side. So, but we will listen to the criticisms, but we will not always be swayed by them. Otherwise, doing the every time you know, will be an institution the turn to one day. That's why I even told you that at a higher level, we've decided to engage even the IPC. They had the Janjambure Peace Accord, they've signed. 19 presidential candidates they signed, and they need to be abide by that. And we need to be engaging them. Engagement dafa ba malo lulu. Engagement dafa ba. And sometimes you engage and publicly people will not know. And it's effective sometimes.
I think to be quite honest and to be fair to ourselves as citizens, then you were by the rely on people, others to fight our own battles. As citizens, we need to be fighting our own battles because you talk the human rights office we know what a whole baro accountable, know what a definitely know what a report. So you abdicate your own responsibilities as citizens. You as citizens, you are def for whole baro accountable. What are we doing? So why be right? Because lolu degala motor guide and kodewa. Don't listen to them. They will just talk. They'll soon forget about it. Nyata yon yunge dega guide lolu in government. Because lolu, that's what we present ourselves to them. Lolu lang they def. But if they see we are serious on what we talking about and we are acting towards getting it, guide then you respect and then you ragal. Look at Kenya, for instance. President Bhutto for withdraw that tax bill, Limdef, Fale would let. But when they went out and they saw him, they are determined. At the end, that's why we don't live and he sacked his whole cabinet. If he had listened initially, he had agafofu. But you know what are we doing in the Gambia? Dara. Gambian biduduga in any activity bohamne dufa ame benefit. Halis directly. Dufa duga. So dafa duga wax rek tuuti mu jeexal si wax tuuti mu jeexal si so yow naka la sa njiit bi di respecté yow yaa leen fa teg teguñ la fa Alaaji Bar wax na ne am nga is power belongs to the people loolu is just in paper waaye man I believe ne ñun ñoo nekku di act on that because ñun ñoo amee power bi si suñu loxo la nekka li société wax ne soo waxee président ita muru ita sugu kooku fi mu daga moo ko moom because yaa ko jox so kone ita muru nta subu o ita subu nta muru du dog fo xamne yen compromise len you have to agree ne li la ñu wara def bo nga jël yeb jox borom koku lim la def ya ko def sa bop
the leadership defines who we are as a people. The dictator in us. Who are we really?
Exactly.
You know, and we have to revisit this, and you'll be very surprised. I have the work that I'm doing. I interact with a lot of people from the level of the international, the regional, inside, everybody. And
opposition
also we have issues.
Yeah, opposition
I'm sorry if I'm going to use that word. I am shocked by even though sometimes sorry.
Bukarai.
No, lima wax moy. So idi la Gambians. We also have we have issues, my brother. And I don't want to use the cliche that I said that a country gets the leader it's deserved. Why I am tempted to say sometimes really,
you can say it.
that
You can say it.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You deal with this side, you see people when they cross over, same people who were passionately saying something, and you are gobsmacked. You said, really? Is that who we are? Maybe we don't have value systems.
Exactly.
Maybe we have issues with integrity. Let's also call a spade a spade. Lii moo ñu dal ñun ñëpp. Di nga gis tey ku nekk side bi loolu ma use somebody who will get up every morning and abuse that Human Rights Commission left, right, and center. Until he was in a fix, we saved him, and then he moved over. The same guy who, so then you sit there, and well, I'm not very surprised because I saw it during the time of Jame as well. I'm just saying this to say, well, maybe something also is, maybe we should look at our value system. I don't know. Maybe we seem to be a God-fearing country, but I think we go through most of the rituals of our religion, whether it's the Kuruswite or the Shapilet. Because if we are as religious as we were saying, we like corruption to Barisitikabi, rule of law, among many other things. There is something fundamentally flawed. The level of hypocrisy that we have. So we have to grapple and deal with this. Let's call it spade. Then what our let us talk to each other. Who are we? What are our value system? I don't know. So I just thought that I needed to say this as well.
There's this book called The Dictator is Force, Alaji Ngamra also fell. But Alaji,
I have to
I've got my copy. I've got my copy as well.
But it's also Dekabidal. Yeah.
Yes, Alaji, your reaction, your thoughts on this matter. To be fair, Alaji, I don't know. If it's are we the fundamental problem of the bank? For nyato bugo nyato ngol nie moy ikabondi suol ning kordale kono fundamental problem of the bank for nyato ngol problem of the bank because ningo nyato ngo ma fa president madama because mo jale biye minika nyato nkayake ika kumol mialon ko people look up to them and ngol jama what it leads. So Mr. Juve said al diamo kono ko wole kelo sabu dlal dolto aning some certain utterances. So these are things minne alonko nde min kan concern je baake wolom nying the elite nyol itol buka bata but foarol jama de wala ka bata ko kono baake ning kelol ning kul nara. So that is my real concern here. I have for ala diamo kono fana ite fanang assembly ko coming okay nying ko dol ni be kerin to nyalam ning ko keta ak senkanda keta consequence man taraje wofana is a concern, Alaji. Malong the whole thing. What are your thoughts, Alaji?
No, I let me go back to Kotosol Kamenkumandinung about the issue with Senegal. I once wrote an article, does the Gambia suffer because she has so few lovers? Meaning, Gambia Batamenkone, is it because Gambia Dinguleman Gambia Kano? Is that the reason we are suffering? Because Gambia just is unfortunate, like a mother that has sorry for the language, but a mother that has children that just don't feel sorry for their mother, regardless of how much their mother is suffering. Because, and my point was, if you truly love Gambia, you would not sit down and look at other Gambians being abused and you keep quiet. If you truly love Gambia, you will not take from your mother country to satisfy yourself, knowing that what you took, you are taking from your brothers and sisters who are suffering. So I just questioned I guess the probably the word that most people would be familiar with is I questioned our patriotism. How much do we love Gambia? And I had also written an article asking about how much Gambian history do we even know? Because I doubt you can truly love if you don't know. Be it a country or a person. Puru nga buga dara mu jaral la lu nekk fo nga xam ko tuti, like it has to have value to you. So the question then becomes, how valuable is Gambia to us? And the value of Gambia is the people, because there is no more an important entity in Gambia than the Gambian people. So when Korosol brings up Senegal, Senegalese are very different in their thinking. The Senegalese is able to see beyond himself and see Senegal. A lot of us in the Gambia cannot see beyond ourselves to see ikafuarol menifo until bukawo jeno. Somebody had asked me a question last week. Why are you still talking? Why are you still doing this? Because in their mind, man, I'm an American citizen. My children are American citizens. I'm almost 50 years old. I don't need a job. I don't need a government job. My mother and father have both passed. Besides the few possessions I have in Gambia, I really don't have anything in Gambia. I'm not suffering. I'm doing okay. Why would I be wasting my time on Gambian affairs? And, it struck me that, this is the mindset of a lot of people in the Gambia. We cannot see beyond ourselves. Because I'm doing okay, that means I shouldn't. All of you here, I mean, everybody seated here in this on this show right now, none of us needs Gambia to advance. But here we are. We are not talking about the UK. We are not talking about Canada. We're not. Why is that? We could have been doing better things. We could have been doing other things, spending our time doing God knows what. But we are here discussing Gambia. And, it goes back to when you mentioned civil society. Unfortunately for Gambia, again, I would ask the question, how many of us truly love Gambia? Because even a lot of these people in civil society, it's not because they believe in a cause. It just so happens that they happen to be in a situation, or it's a job, or they are mostly hustlers. They are more worried about some podium or going to some conference and taking pictures and coming back and sharing those pictures on Facebook but they don't really believe anything. Whereas if you go to places like Senegal, or you come here to places like Kenya, you see people that actually believe in something. They believe in a cause. They believe that their country can do better, and that because of that, they don't mind putting their life on the line for the sake of their people. The Gambian would not do that. Most of us would never do that. If which is true. I've said this on another show, that a lot of these African leaders are fashionable authoritarians. That's what they are. They just embrace democracy because that's what they are supposed to embrace. But they don't believe in the tenets of democracy. They don't believe in the tenets of the rule of law. They don't believe in these things. But they have to play the game, because that's what everybody's telling them. You have to abide by this. You have to do this. And because they want to be part of the international organizations, and they want to get money from people, and because if you look at Yahya Jammeh, he became a pariah. He got to a point where not too many people wanted to deal with him. Barrow does not want that. The people that surround Barrow, they want their visas to go to America. They don't want to be sanctioned by the UK or the US, where their wives cannot go there and deliver babies. They don't want that. So they would play along as much as they can. They would accommodate as far as they can, up to a certain stage, but it's not because they believe in it. And so when we come to Senegal, these are some of the differences. Senegalese, unfortunately for us, the patriotism that you see in Senegal, it wasn't by accident, it was deliberate. They actually had policies around that to build patriotism in the minds of their people. They are very aware. They know that, Senegal is bigger than the individual self. They know these things. Gambia is not like that. Just today, I put out a statement. I put out a Facebook post about this constitution. This new constitution that they brought in I call it the APRC NPP constitution. It's not the people's will, but the CRC, the very people, the lawyers that drafted that constitution, the CRC team, where is their statement? If they truly believed in what they were doing, you went and talked to the whole nation. You listen to the voices of the people. The people gave you their voices. They told you, they gave you a mandate. You come and write something. Because somebody is not happy about it, he sat with his cabinet and they butchered it, and they come back with this, and you are quiet. You don't say anything. By this time, everybody from Suleiman, the CRC commission, or whatever the leader was, from Suleiman all the way down, they should be issuing statements saying something about it. They should not be quiet, because the people gave them a mandate. And that mandate failed, not because of them, but because somebody's desire to cling onto power. The very first cabinet paper that was released on that constitution, the first thing that they listed was that it discriminates against President Barrow. That was their main concern. That was the first thing that they listed on that. So where are the people that are going to stand up and say, no, this is the voice of the people. This is what we want. This is what we demand would happen. And the reason, Saul, I said we have power on paper, in reality, we don't. You try to go to Gambia today and say you are going to demonstrate. They will pour hot water on you. They would put tear gas on you. Or if you apply for a permit, either they would deny you or they would confine you to a space where you become irrelevant and nothing would come out of it. So that's why I say on paper, yes, you have power. But everything, when you try to ask for a permit, what would they tell you? It's a security risk. At this point in time, blah, blah, blah.
Mr. Sidibaro.
If you have power, you don't need permission to exercise that power as a people.
Well, I'm going to emphasize more in every revolution that they they make sacrifices. Because changes in most leaders they're fashionable Democrats. So that bring about that system change dina empower dina, because I'm not read recently. It's not like leadership, so empower institutions strengthen system change. Because sometimes, some time ago, we had this conversation, you can have strong institutions, but if you have weak, people manning those institutions, they would equally be weak. So Lee is like Nikki, Yosa Yala Davla health, and you need to understand your right as responsibilities as a citizen. Munga understand I'm not. This girl I was seeing, Mune, she's not an African because she is born in Africa. She is an African because Africa is in her. So that I guess emphasize you can be a Gambian, why Gambia is not in you. So you don't care about Gambia. But you have somebody else who is not a Gambian, who is not born in the Gambia, but has Gambia in him or herself. Koku would sacrifice more to make sure Gambia. I'm not Bopam. Why you Gambia te Gambia neko feel. So we need to start having Gambia in us so that you muna tahaw sigil ko. Because so ragalene dinañ la tour ndox mus tanga dinañ la tia gas ak yoyu. So ñoñ duñ tok ne la amal li jox nañ la this power. No. Power bi dang ko demand. So dañu wara ñëmé ñu tour ñu ndox mu tanga, dañu wara ñëmé ñu tia gas ñu, dañu wara ñëmé ñu reñu. Understand? So lolu su amute, let's say for instance time is solo sending. Su ko yaay jame reyu ton. Da nga fogg ne na dinañ don am coalition 2016. It was not going to happen because mom DMB dafa bring the country together. So tanane be xam nga am na ñoo xam ne ñu ngi gis seen boppa in solo sending. Am na ñoo xam ne ñu ngi gis seen doomi as solo sending, they could be solo sending any moment. So lolu bokk na ci lo xam ne moo ñu bring together. Pour ñu ne enough is enough for Jammeh, he has to go. But we cannot do that with Barrow, or we cannot do that with anyone that comes after Barrow. We cannot wait for 22 years or bem do di reigning ni doga gena ne legi sona and we need to do this. So war nañu jël Gambia ñu dugal ko suñ biir ñu buga ko, and then we would be able to make sacrifices. Lolago.
Yeah, thanks. Mr. Juve, I know time with them interrupt, and then before you go, you think all this that is happening, how can we resolve this? And your final thoughts. Do you think we can resolve it? How can we resolve it? And your final thoughts.
What resolve what? A lot of things have been said. What? The new draft, the statements that are made, the economy. Your question is very loaded.
Okay, it's true. Okay, right. Okay, to be precise, how can you make dividend?
How can we make dividend? It's still very broad. You mean the institution that I work with,
yes.
that I work for? No, we will definitely carry on our mandate to our broad mandate, which is promotional and protection. We will do it to the best of our abilities without fear or favor. Yes, as was stated, there are some intricacies involved. You will have to, there is a fine line. You cannot, if you're a state institution and you also have an advisory role. And by the way, I think Mr. Barrow mentioned something very important here. There was a particular press release that was done a long time that we did. And the state, you asked me whether someone said, well, you could have advised us rather than just come out. You could have advised us. Just to tell you how difficult our position is. But really, man, I think as far as Gambia is concerned, we are all in it together. Civil society. Let us, we all, whether you are in politics, there's a lot of things that need fixing in this country. And I just worry that we have a country where a lot of people speak on both sides of their mouth. We have a country where instead of looking and talking about the bigger picture, we're trying to reinstitute FGM. We're a country where we do not condemn corruption or we pay lip service to it. There are a lot of things that we need to fix in the country, really. We need a disciplined civil service. We need institutions, oversight institutions that work. So FRC is a multi-pronged approach for Gambia to really work. But leadership is also very key. Really, I believe if we have really a very dedicated and serious leadership, we can make great strides. And I think that is always where sometimes Gambia and other African countries are failing, because leadership is key. And also those who surround leaders. You know, again, very, 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 very important statements were made. You have minders. So I'm a leader, but hamne limo def jubut or digina yon dayo. No, Mr. President, I don't think this is the way we should go. So, and you must also have proper advisors. You know, I also believe in the saying that, you know, the company you keep is very important. The company you keep is extremely important, especially for governance. So I think we are at the crossroads in this country.
So the president is not keeping good companies, you know. So you surround they are not.
I'm the law like it.
Well, Lola, man, you surround. They could surround Bopam Ninjubao. Is that what you're saying?
Well. What I may be speaking in general terms there, but if you are a leader, the company you keep is important. It's extremely important. And also,
Mr. Juf, let me help you on that.
Wow.
President bi ñi ko surround ñu bari bëgguñ ko.
Te nekkul nit ñu baax. Allow you to dissect it. Yes. I'm not Mr. Juf, chairperson it. I'm not anymore here. It's different. So my partner, some my thought process. Why that is key. That is very okay. We must care. Man, I believe really. I've come back home 2018. I chaired the Farababanda Commission of Inquiry. I saw how things were. But man, sometimes they believe that Gambians generally don't care. Because Mandamadi feel, and in every sphere, you don't have to be a rocket scientist, whether it's in the area of tourism, how we can help to hunger. We have fantastic waterways here. Sometimes you just wonder, people who are heading institutions, what are they actually doing? Do they even have a vision? Why, man, to be honest, as a Gambian, Limador to believe, because we are great. You take us anywhere. You take us to the UN. You take us in other countries, and we do fantastic. There was the particular institution I work for, Suma team leader, and he was an American. The man liked whether they can recruit more Gambians. He was under the impression the way I was dedicated to the cause of what I was doing, Gambians must be like that. So when you take us out there, you put us in a system, we work. We come here, we seem to catch the virus. I don't know what virus this is. My observation is also two major things. We don't care and there are no consequences in what we do. Because consequences, Amud, we do whatever we want to do. You know, whether it's the civil service, I'll still get my salary. Nothing happens. So if you run a state, like Gambians here, and we behave like that, there are no consequences. Gambian bifi, daw ligay, then wake a kotam, yobuko America, or nyeti ligay la. He will work. He will work. So these are the things. Mandama believe me, even at the level of our schools. They inculcate these ideas. So just to tell you, one of the many things that we're doing that doesn't come out. Why you list? You know, I know it's a cliche, but catch them young. Because I'm also believing there is something fundamentally flawed. If the value systems are destroyed, people can believe at apprenticeship, can believe at in honesty, integrity. Yes, the rituals of religion are everywhere. Why it's not even yielding dividends? So man, I believe even at the level of our schools, there are, I don't know, Nakaloko Senegal or whatever. Why there is something that we need to start inculcating: responsibility, accountability, caring for your nation. And I think that is very important. And I think these ingredients are missing. And it doesn't matter whether you have one institution that is shining, like the NHRC, you need more than that. You need more than it's just a speck in the whole process. So that will be my parting shot. That will be my parting shot. Well, just to tell you, we are trying. Let me sell my institution.
Are you really shining? Are you really shining? That's a question mark.
No, I will try. We do a lot of research. We do a lot of awareness raising. So you can say, I'm a big issue. Even this issue of hate speech, maybe we were not strong enough. Why you have law? So you are speculating. But anyway, with press releases, we do a lot of other things to make sure that in our little space that we'll bring back a culture of human rights, rule of law, responsibility, peace. To the extent, last but within this short period that we existed, we were audited, and we didn't audit ourselves. The way we do our work, and we were given an A status, and I'm very proud of it because our neighbor Senegal is B status. When we go to the Human Rights Council, they cannot get up and talk. They have to write a paper for me to put their point across. Okay, I'm robbing it, but I'm just telling you that we are trying. It's not easy as an institution, but we are trying our level best. But we're all in it together. Even this show that you're doing is good. Let us talk about these issues. Let us come out, talk about them. Let us have civil society together, all of us. Yeah, let us have the sharpshooters who will not spare anybody, like Alaji. You know, and I love your coffee time every week.
I think
religiously and laugh. But anyway, so that was what I wanted to say, really.
Before I Sol, Alaji, regards from Mr. Chongan. He said, "I'm listening. Tell Alaji you spoken. I extend my regards to Alaji. He's spoken. Well said." Mr. Chongan is.
Just to buttress catch them young. Mangi said and Jamai Mungi don't have a conversation with some, I think 8 or 10-year-old Senegalese Halei. So Munglen don't want Senegal and new pour tap oil. Mungewa hale yo 10 years any amount bi Senegal I foog na about 10% dinañ ko denca pour yeen so len magge elek ngeen am fi ngeen soxandeko ak di xam nga di express the process. So 10-year-old yooyu mu ngi engage yooyu di leen wax Senegal am nañ lii ak lii la ñoo def. So loolu mu ngi dëgëral li Mr. Diouf wax catch them when they're young. Sometimes we need to teach these people. Xam nga ñu xamal leen Alaaji wax na ko xam nga nit ki bala nga ko buga nga xam ko nga xam di history. A lot of people so leen laaji about the Banjul Declaration xamuñ ko musu ñoo gis statement boobu kañ la Gambia am independent am nga all those things ñana fa nekkoon Francis Small lan la contribute on ñëpp ñu am na ñu bari xamuñ ko léegi am na ñoo xam ne xamuñ Jawara jàmm rek lañ xam because eram lañ xam so da nga gis ne lii yëpp dafa important ñu catch ko at an early age so seetle Europe America xale bu ndaw 6-year-old 5-year-old su waxee da nga foog ne adult mooy wax because kooku yaa ngi ko yar pour mu am confidence mu mun a express boppam waaye da nga gis adult Gambian bi dafa waayoo sa du la mun a xool si bot da nga waxtaan adult Gambian du mun a am conversation boo xam ne xam nga dafa substantive du talk about ideas or issues du am xëy na seen xam nga street language yooyu nga dégg ak yooyu so beneen bi mooy ne xam nga njiit bi wax nga ne Gambian si suñ génnee outside dañ dee xam nga excel very well waaye ñi si gën a bari suñ delloo si kër gi xam nga they rough waaye ñooñu man li ma gëm mooy ne because outside amuñ but they have to comply waaye nit ki place ak alel do they change nit daf they expose yow kañ nga who is the real person so su fekkee ne yow yaa ngi in this struggle yaa ngi doon hear about against injustice yaa ngi doon hear against dictatorship yow nga ñëw nekkaat in a government boo xam ne am nga opportunity pour proof points ak yooyu yi nga doon hear you doing otherwise it means ne yow dang doon hear démba because of sa njëriñ te am nga njëriñ boobu faalewtoo loo doon hear démba so loolu mooy attitude yi Gambian bi Alaaji mu ngi fi bi mu demee si TRRC bi mënoon naa def naka la sudul noonu mu collecte xaalis waaye am na certain changes yoo xam ne def na ko fa nangut gaay korop ko ñu ngi ko won ne lii mun ngaa amee fii mun ngaa def nii mu ne non du ko def am na ñoo xam ne sax help na leen ñoo xam ne ñu ngi si police bi ñu ngi si army bi senior officers so su amoon na ni moo mel dafa toog foofu rek am xaalisam so dafa mel ni moom lim doon xeex démba xeexut pour ñëpp daf doon xeex pour boppam so Gambian boo xam ne outside nu mun di def su fekkee ne is a genuine Gambian gëm na li moo def su duggee si nguur gi dina mun a def the same thing understand and am na ñoo xam ne offer nañ leen positions in the government mënuñoo dem not because bëgguñoo dimbale seen réew waaye dañ feel ne su ma demee I may not be able to work with them te dinañ ne wa yow de démba yaa ngi doon wax li yaa ngi doon wax lele te yaa ngi si nguur gi yaa ngi ne muut so nga bañ a dem nga sàmm sa ngor moo gën nga dem ba pare ngay def naka la sudu noonu ngay jëlkati so Gambian bi man li ma gom daal gomut boppam oo bugut Gambia loolu rek la waaye until we start taking it this discussion to the next level comme li Moustapha wax at least ñu aasi little action then duñ mun a achieve a lot dañoo continuer di wax rek so il faut ñu jël ko yóbbu ko to next level jërë ngeen jëf
jërëjëf Aziz your thoughts your observations
li ma waroon a njëkkee lay mujjee mooy ne am naa mbégte trop pour toog ak ñaari kilifa yoo xam ne definitely suma role model lañ Mr. Diouf yaaga naa la toppa trop and to be quite honest I want to admit ne yéen a ngi def a good job especially yow Alhaji Barrow I bought your book suma boss jël ko nangut ma ko jox honestly it's being read by some professors here at Dalhousie University fi may liggéey and it's just suma boss moo ko gis rek mu read ko and then he took it away but that tells you how important it is. Wow. To be quite honest. Wow. Definitely waxoon naa ne ñaar ñi buñ fi nekkee man waruma wax dama war a toog déglu waaye li ma bëgg a wax mooy man gëmuma ne Gambian bi bugut bo réewam déedéet bugga na ko it's just dañ am I don't know a faulty sense of patriotism if I may put it that way nga tey jaral na ñoo am na ñoo xam ne Gambia jaral na leen sax ñu xeexal but for what and to what end? That's the question. And that comes back to lan moo ma cee nekkal. So yes, bugga nañ ko waaye I think we need a different mindset. Conversation bi dafa war a change te d'accord naa ne nañ start from the school. Why itam leadership bi am na ci wàll trop. They always man dama dee bugg a refer back to Time Jawara. Ndax itam Time Jawara, most of these things were here. The only difference is Jawara leadership, at least he had a pacifying language. Xam nga doo ko musa dégg ak loo ko munti wax Jawara du tontu bu porof. At least loolu dimbale na nit ñi to pacify at least a bit. Gisuñ ko ci Yaya Jammeh, gisuñ ko ci nakalaati Barrow of late. Loolu moo ñu wuteeloo waaye bu duutoon loolu kañ definitely réew mi mënoon naa weesu fi mu weesu. Man léegi in my own imagination and frustration dama dee question civic education department bi, the civic education. Lan lañ dee jàngale when they go out to talk to the people. But message la nga am na ku leen dee audit comme niñ audité the Human Rights Commission. Leneen li ma bëgg a laaj Mr. Diouf te su fekkee ne di nga ko mun a baaxee mooy the same annual report that they include government violations or abuses. Nga da ngeen dee mun a am itam come out with a program pour this year the Barrow government had this number of violations, rights violations, abuse of office, corruption. Just like Nakalati, Transparency International did it. I know you have a different mandate with them, but this is a public-funded institution. It should be there. MSAC Justice and website. While Ningen and programs, we are at least the one in at B. In terms of democracy, we have either progress or, regress. That this number of abuses no help. They're gonna engage with the police which is very good. Why not say that no would ever translate into change? No, parce que l'État, si souf ñende wax ak ñoom. Man yaakaar naa ne jot nañu tollu foo xam ne we name and same people.
Yeah. Quickly, rek arama at yaa ngi wax lu bare bala ma faté. Niñ sosé suñ institution bi moy every year by March we must go to the National Assembly and submit a report, two reports. One is the state of human rights in the country, which means during the period of that year, what happened, how did we observe, what complaints did we receive, were those complaints solved, what recommendations to this particular institution. So lolu dañ ko dey submit, then I will give you an electronic copy of it, and it gives specific recommendation if it is to do with arrest, and it's very clear. Lee lañ find out this person was held between this period. We will also talk about recommendations. So this is just in a nutshell, this is done, and also of course the activity and financial report that is always done every year. But what we have also done recently is to engage the National Assembly, the Standing Committee of Human Rights and Constitutional Matters, where, for example, we have made a recommendation. If the police are not, for example, I'm just using the police, if they have not rectified certain things that we have seen, then they should call them with the NHRC before them for the IGP, for example, to explain why not. That is aside the quasi-judicial powers that we have. And there has been challenges, I must admit. There was a time the National Assembly called both the NHRC and the then IGP, and he sent junior officers, and we refused to to sit because we just felt that it was disrespect. We have been given this statutory mandate, and then he had to be recalled, and then he appeared. The just want right for one lane. These things, a report is definitely, and we disseminate the report to everybody. It says after we hand it over to the National Assembly, and this is the report that also we take to Barrow in closed-door meetings, and we talk to him as well as our concerns. This is what we found out. this is working, this is not working, and what we feel could happen if this thing is not done. So just to tell you that we do that. Apart from Mr. Jame Yang Madon Lajitam Lan at another level, for example, Manglawhal, Gambia is being reviewed in January. Countries all over the world come before the council. And where we have failed, because the last time we were reviewed, we were given 221 recommendations, and the Gambia agreed to about 209. Have we done that? We have not actually done all those things that we said. So Gambia at the higher level will also be called. And you see us at all these things. You must have seen us at the National Assembly giving our position papers on the issue of FGM and our findings. We do this. Maybe we need to publicize and amplify it some more, but just to allay your fears that we are doing that all the time, all the time. In fact, to an extent, people say that we are talking too much. I'm not going to be everything in this country. These people are talking. One of them even said, they believe that really I want to stand for in politics. If I want to stand, let me come out and stop talking about corruption. And this was a party militant. They said they know about my machine, what I'm planning to do. That's why I talk about all these things. But anyway, just to add some humor to it. What we do.
You're running me.
Findings that we have, whether it's the caste system, the study that we carried out, whether during the compendium of the elections, and you will see that specific recommendations to the IEC, to political parties, and now what we've started doing.
Mr. Joe, you should have been doing this, sending this across to all the media houses and anywhere outlets and all that.
A lot of them do have it actually. Maybe you have been reading. Well, maybe you have not been, but I actually transmit this. It's there. But now that I have your WhatsApp,
was it cherry picking? Was it cherry picking, Mr. Joe? Cherry picking.
No.
Thank you, Mr. Joe.
Yeah, but we keep on trying. But because what you said, when we had a serious meeting sometime last year, was what are we going to do to follow up on medium and long-term recommendations? And we have started doing that by engaging the standing committee to make sure that if there is a recommendation on the health, on AKI, let them come back and tell. The National Assembly has powers. What are you doing? Why have you not done it? So these are the things that we have started doing effectively the last 2 years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Joe. Much obliged. Okay. Alaji, your observations and your final thoughts about this whole thing, this issue or these discussions in summary, how can we resolve some of these things? What's the way forward? Your final thoughts, Alaji.
Thank you. I think, but before I get into that, let me just address my koto here, Mr. Boja. We've never met in person, but due to the work that I was doing with the TRRC, I come across a lot of names of individuals, that were upstanding. You come across a lot of, I guess, what we consider bad guys, but you also come across a lot of people that, when the going was tough, they stood up. That's one of the reasons, me and Chonga, and it's somebody that I admire, even though I give him a hard time because he doesn't want to accept that his father is a greater man than he is. But, somebody that I immensely admire. And Mr. Bojang, you are one of those individuals as well. Like I said, Korosol and I went to the same high school. Mr. Duf was talking about catching them young. I joined the Anti-Apartheid Society. I was about 14 years old in Basse. In that society, one of the things that I did a lot of was reading. I read a lot of books dealing with apartheid and just African writers' serious books. And that helped me a lot. Some of the books that I wanted to read, couldn't afford them. Once I got to the United States, I did everything to get these books. So I am, the NHRC, catching them young. On my last visit, I went to a high school where I had, some time with some of the students at the school, and, they ask all kinds of questions. I usually try to do that when I go to Gambia. I try to meet with young people on my own, just like something I do as an individual. But just as, one of what I think it was Kotosol that also mentioned something along the lines of not relying on other people to do for us what we can do for ourselves. And that is the issue for us Gambians. Like, for instance, the NHRC. We are looking at the NHRC. NHRC is just one institution in the Gambia. There are a billion other institutions that should concern themselves with human rights situations. This includes religious bodies. This includes civil society groups. But, with what was said, for instance, on the statement of President Barrow, how many religious leaders or religious organizations did you see come out and say something about it? Because what he said does not jive with religion, because it's disrespectful. It does not jive with religion. So why were they silent? It doesn't jive with our humanity as Gambians, as brothers and sisters, people that call each other my brother, my sister. It doesn't jive with our so-called values. So why were many of us silent? What about all these other groups? Why were they silent? And why are we not holding those people accountable? Yes, it is the NHRC that is, I guess, the phase of human rights. But human rights is everybody's business. I shouldn't sit down and see you get violated. And Mr. Juve was mentioning individuals that used to condemn. I've had people that literally came out and said how much they hate me. They cannot stand me. But when they got arrested, I was one of the first people to raise my voice against their arrest because I thought it was abuse, notwithstanding my personal issues with them. Because I know if it could happen to them, it could happen to me. And when it happens to me, I would want somebody, regardless of how they may feel about me, to stand up for me and say something about it. So these issues are, these are issues that go beyond the National Human Rights Commission. This is everybody's business. We can point fingers at the NHRC and say, you are not doing A, B, C, D, and rightfully so. If that's how we feel, rightfully so. But as Kotosol was saying, as individuals, as religious leaders, as people that call ourselves Muslims and Christians, and we, one of the things we brag about is we are 95% Muslim country. What are we doing about these things that do not jive with the religion that we claim to belong to? So for me, it's about individual responsibility. That's where it starts. Before I point fingers at anybody else, I would make sure on my own little platform, I have my little Facebook platform and my little coffee time platform. If something happens, I have a duty to my fellow human being, to my fellow Gambian, to my brother. I have a duty to tell them what happened to you is wrong. Even if that is all I can do about it, I have that duty. But that's a solemn duty on every single one of us too. It shouldn't be that because I don't like Kotosol, something bad happens to him, or I don't like Aziz, something bad happens to him, I keep quiet. It shouldn't be that. I should see his humanity before I think of any problems or personal feelings I have towards him. And you were mentioning about the, I think, Mr. Aziz, you were asking about the National Council for Civic Education. I used to pass by their office. I think it was in Kotu area, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Like I said, you have to believe in something to actually invest in it. These folks don't believe in civic. The more ignorant the Gambians are, the better for them. I've always argued that this whole government system is a scam. It's all about, help me, give me your tax monies, let me get rich on your back. As Gambian citizens, all of us have traveled outside. You can point at things that the government provides for you, tangible things. In the Gambia today, senior government officials, when they get sick, they may go to these private hospitals, but when the going gets tough, they go outside. If any of us happen to be in the Gambia and we're not part of that group, you're gonna die in Gambia. Free cars, free. It's supposed to be service to the people, but it's more like service to yourself. The people are there to serve themselves first. Government exists to serve those in government first and foremost, before they even think about the people. That's why you see all this, judicial bill wanting to, reward themselves even after they die, and because they are thinking about themselves. They want to serve themselves. They want to make sure they are okay before they think about the little man or little folks out there. Well, Mansakunda is not for Fuaro. Mansakunda is for people that are in Mansakunda. Those are the people they think about first and foremost. And when they are done, the leftover, if anything, that's what they give to the people. That's why you have terrible hospitals, you have terrible schools. Their kids don't go to the same schools as regular people. They don't go to the same hospital. The most fundamental needs of human beings, you don't share with senior government officials. They have their own, you have your own. And if that is not a scam, I'm not sure what is. But for me, that's how I see this whole arrangement. I see it as a scam. But also, again, it comes down to individual responsibility. Somebody is scamming you, telling you, I'm a civil servant, I'm a public servant, I'm here to serve you. But you see that person driving a nicer car, living in a free home, don't have to worry about network because they have generator or they have other sources, alternative sources of power. You, the person that they are supposed to serve, you don't have any of that, but you are the one that's paying them. Your money is what's paying their salary. They're living on your back, leeching off your back. But the things that they have, you cannot have. And you think that's an okay arrangement. It's not. So I'll shut up here and stop here because I don't want to take over the rest of the time. But no, again, Koroso, I'm in line with what you said. It comes down to individual responsibility. First of all, let's ask the question, what am I doing about this situation? Before you say X, Y, Z also need to do so and so. Because ultimately, like I said, the NHRC, yes, they it's supposed to be independent, you know, whatever. The government, I don't know if they provide them with any, but I know for a fact that if they want to shut them down, I know for a fact they will find ways, they will shut them down tomorrow and nothing will come out of it.
Right. Thank you, Alaji. You know, thank you all, you know, for your time, energy, and effort. Mr. Juve, thank you for your time. Thank you, Aziz. Thank you very much, Saul. That is it for this week edition of our weekly civic education program. We'll draw the curtain here today from Skype or Radio and TV Services Studios, West Yorkshire, Leiston, Selmount. Regards to Onde Jabate and the rest of the team, as well as Bamba and Mr. Chongan following. Thank you. Thank you very much, Alaji. We'll set off from here. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Brung lamarlan lingi beral mobe dawda ni be watu wati to non na lokum civic education program o min kaso jang kabon Skype or Radio and TV services. Bedana janne fo sibitinala inshallah lokum koteng. Kabon Skype or Radio and TV services on Albadi Mala Mustafa Jame member series program o kunna fo sibitinala inshallah. Thank you all and have a good evening. Dum dum dum.